All right, so you're on with BS with Joe, and I'm Brad Scott, hence the BS, and there's Joe. So Joe, I wanted to talk about family values
Okay.
and how it feels like there's a movement towards family values.
Well, there needs to be, because we've really gotten away from it.
Yeah. Now this may sound like I'm women bashing or woman bashing. Men have an issue with it too. It feels like for years women have been put on this high pedestal, and I think it's our fathers did this.
Okay.
They're princesses. We got to put them on this high statue. We got to give them everything they want because we want to have them get a man that'll give them everything they want.
Okay.
And not only that, but a combination of men also going, okay, I need to give women their space. I need to let them do their thing. We want them to be girl bosses as well, and fathers have too, and mothers have really pushed this.
Okay.
Girl bosses, and I've got this control, and all this other stuff. And men have thought, oh, all I gotta do is work hard and provide, and I'll be able to give them everything they want. And for years, that's been able to happen.
Right.
With the single family income, that happened,
Right.
and that's why the fathers were pushing that. And then the '80s in the '70s with the movement of women could do it just as well as men, and for the most part they can and have.
Right.
With the exception of things like working in the oil fields, really hard labor jobs, digging ditches. Women didn't want to do that, and they weren't as good as men.
Well, here's one of my insights in this is in the 70s when that women's movement started with putting women back to work and all that kind of thing. That was when you saw the salary stagnations happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you also saw the incredible rise in divorce rates.
Yes. And the divorce rates continue.
Right.
Now, a lot of that is because women have always, with their fathers and so forth.
I'm not saying that because they went back to work, these problems were caused.
No, but I'm what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at the psyche of men and women. Women aren't the only ones to blame. Men are just as equal to blame in this.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this is from my own perspective. Like, I'm married for 7 years now, and it's been rocky. It's not been easy. Marriage has never been easy.
For anybody.
And even relationships, long-term relationships, or even short-term relationships, men and women have always had issues trying to come to an agreement on certain values or certain...
Have you paid any attention to what's going on with millennials and Gen Z and dating?
No, I have not.
Men are not seeking relationships with women anymore.
No.
Because from what I understand, it's the fact that a lot of the women are just feeling entitled.
Mm-hmm.
They on that first date, they're ordering the steak and lobster and expecting the man to pay for it, and they want the treatment like it's still 1950, but yet they want the freedom of 2025.
Right. No, you're right, and that's what women want, and men are just like, you know what? I'm not even going to participate because I can't.
Right.
Because you look at how hard things are now. Like, I used to be able to afford a steak for dinner before COVID.
Right.
Now I'm struggling to afford chicken and hamburgers.
Yeah. Last time I had a steak, it was a flat iron because it was a $7 steak.
Yeah. Not even talking about the cost of eggs right now.
That's bird flu. That's a different.
Oh yeah, and the thing is with the bird flu, I could go off on some tangents on that. But so and that's where a lot of men are like, you know what? I'm just going to be happy enough to play video games. If I can afford to play video games and just hang out with myself or friends and just be happy, their focus now is to be happy. Their focus isn't on having a relationship and marriage and kids. Their focus now is how can I be happy?
I think that a lot of men have just gotten burnt out on trying to please women.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk did an episode a couple of years ago now, where he had a panel of women that were in the 20s dating age, and he was asking them what they found, what were they seeking in a man, and they basically across the board they wanted somebody that made more than six figures, and as a matter of fact, some of them said that $100,000 wasn't enough, you know, and their pedestal or their expectations were so high that Charlie Kirk was like, you realize that you're looking at 1% of American men that meet these expectations. Yet all of you are seeking that.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And also, you look at other things too with OnlyFans. That's also another way that women can make a ton of money, and you know they're putting themselves out of the dating market too, just like men are with video games and just a place to live and play video games.
Right.
Because in order for them to be happy in life, they feel like they got to do this, so they're putting their bodies out into OnlyFans, and that's how they feel like they can survive to live their lifestyle that they want.
Right.
And so it's almost like with the sexes, there's two types of classes.
Yeah.
And the divide's greater now than it ever has before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it started with our generation.
Yes.
Because I remember dating all women. They wanted to date somebody that was going to college when you were in your 20s. You were looking for a career where you can make six figures. That's what they're talking about now, but they're not like...
And it's the end of the baby boomers and into Gen X is when the term MRS degree came out.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody doesn't know, an MRS degree is a woman that marries someone that has a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't have to work.
Right. And, you know, and a lot of women, I think the young women that are coming of age now are realizing this.
I hope so.
Or at least I hope they're waking up.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay, if this is what I want, this is what my real life expectations have got to be.
Yeah.
Because once women open themselves up to be available to an actual man that's willing to work and willing to sacrifice, because our generation did it. I feel like our generation worked hard, sacrificed, did what it took when we could, and a lot of men have been burnt because it wasn't good enough.
Well, I mean, our generation has faced a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
The housing crisis.
In 08.
Even before that, I mean, in the 1980s, housing prices soared.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing happened in the 90s. I mean, we got priced out of the market because the average salary wasn't going up, but the cost of living was going through the roof.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that, I think, we're trying to fix right now with, like, you know, Doge and Trump, with trying to get rid of this excess spending. Because I've been thinking about it a lot on taxes. Everybody has this conception of taxes to pay for roads, schools, this, that, and all taxes. A part of it does, but if you look at the gross incompetence of where the spending goes, and the government spends so much money that taxes can't even touch what they spend. So what they're doing is they're creating the money to spend, and they're using your tax money as a hedge against inflation. If they could create money, why don't they create the value of money? They can't, because they put so much of it out there where it devalues
The more money that they create, the lower the value that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we're going into our other segment when we're talking about taxes. I want to keep on family values. and how we can fix this. And I think there's a lot of ways. I think a lot of people are turned off by churches and trying to go to church.
Well, a lot of people see right through it.
Hmm.
You know, because I mean, I was raised in a very Catholic family.
Hmm.
We were forced to go to church every single Sunday. I went to catechism classes every Sunday. I did the first communion, I did the confirmation, all that stuff. And by the time I was about 9 or 10 years old, I realized that we were watching a show. This is a stage. These guys are passing a hat for money. It's all BS.
It is, and that's the thing. Even with Christian churches with congregations, you see the big televangelists with these huge stage and these suits and driving Cadillacs.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that money's going,
Right.
and you know.
Do religious organizations do good things? Yes, but
Yes.
how many people have had to die over the centuries?
Well, I'm not even talking about the centuries. I'm talking about within this last 100 years.
Yeah, that too.
So you go back 100 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
in the 1925.
Okay.
Your churches were small.
Not the Catholic churches.
Not the Catholic churches. Well, the Christian churches were
Yeah.
small. And a lot of times a preacher would be up there preaching, and everybody would get together, and everybody would help each other out. You helped out your neighbors.
Yeah.
And you traded with your neighbors. So, like, and a lot of people did a lot of homesteading because there wasn't industry or any of this other stuff. So if you had a milking cow, you milked and you produced so much milk you could trade that milk.
Right.
Somebody who didn't have a milking cow, but they had chickens.
Mm-hmm.
You got eggs and you got chicken.
Or you have the one guy down the street that's really good at making cheese.
Yeah. There you go. And now you create an industry there. And the Amish has been doing this for generations.
That's true.
And the Amish have got really good family values, but also they have an issue as well because they could
quite a
be
few issues.
yeah, they could be very controlling within their congregation.
Yeah.
And they can oust somebody from their congregation. Just say, "You're out. You're banished. We're no longer talking to you." But somebody from outside their congregation can go up and talk to them, and they'll interact with you because they're thinking of sales. They're thinking of this. What can we use this individual for who has money that can help with our family and congregation?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I forget what their term is for people that aren't in their sect.
shunned.
No, not that's people they kicked out. I'm talking about-
They're outsiders, but they have a term for
They
it.
do have it. It's like I want to say mainlanders, but that's not right. It's something similar to that. Anyway, they basically view us as an opportunity for trade,
Mhm.
and that's about it. They'll use us, but keep us at a distance.
Yeah. They also look at us as somewhat as heretics.
Yeah, to them we are.
Yeah. And you think of some of the people from the Middle East, they want to kill heretics.
Right.
And they view us as that as well. And
Well, they would view the Amish that way too.
yeah. Well, we're Jewish or Jewish light, heavy Jewish you can call it because they're really hardcore.
The Hasidics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, going back to this whole family values, is you look at that there was great family values with that, and they all congregated around the church. I think people are now starting to congregate with social media.
They are, and I mean, like I said, I really am not a religious person at all, and I see the evil in churches, but at the same time, raising kids with the morals and values of that religion has a benefit.
Yes, and with social media, you have both extremes.
Yeah.
Because you see empowering videos of somebody doing very charitable works, and then you see these awesome videos where you see somebody, doing these parkouring and all this cool stuff, and that's inspiring for people to do better and do good.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got the other side of the coin with street takeovers.
And that's also and so, with kids, and kids are around this. They're around this, and they see this more than what we have.
Well, yeah,
and,
they're on
and-
TikTok. We're not on.
Yeah, and they're very impressionable.
Yeah.
But we need to, and this is where family values needs to come in and go. Okay, explain to the because it all goes back to the children.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to the children why this is good. How does this make you feel? Why does this make you feel this way? And you look at this other video with like the street takeover and this car wiping out this guy, breaking his legs, possibly back, and almost killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And people laughing and joking about that, and not even calling an ambulance or 911 for him because they don't want the cops to get involved.
Right.
And
messed up.
you gotta, we, with our generation, we put ourselves in that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm talking about family values because when I get older and I become a senior citizen, I want somebody, because I don't have kids, and I'm probably going to be in a retirement facility, and someone, if I make it that far.
Yeah, you say God willing.
Yeah, or I might go out, but I don't want to. Like the videos of men going out with like this. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm too smart and I'm too chicken shit. I'll put it out there to do anything like that. But also, I have too good of morals. I hope to think that I do. I'm going to probably die old in a retirement facility, not surrounded by family and friends. But I want somebody to take care of me like as if I was their family member, because they have good family values. And speaking of that, there's one last little thing I want to go off, and then I'll ask you whatever you feel about any of this, Joe. But I'm looking forward to Goonies 2.
I'm not.
I am. I want to see the original cast, all retired and old, and they're in this retirement home, and they're wanting to go after this last hurrah because they find this map and they want to go after this treasure. I think
what
that
they're
would
doing?
be no, but that would be golden.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah,
That would be kind
and you could even tie in a new generation, like
Yeah.
their grandkids getting involved in it, and searching for the treasure, and the kids are like the adults in the whole the millennials. They're going like, "Oh, come on, Grandpa or Dad," and they're going to. I could see it as a good working movie.
Yeah. I was never a big fan of Corey Feldman.
No, but I could see him in a role where he reprises that and him
Yeah.
like losing his mind
Well,
or something.
I think he's had facial work done.
Oh, he's had a lot of facial.
It just doesn't look right anymore, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as family values go, there's a lot of different facets to it to try and get us back on track, and it's just gonna take time, and we got to get the dads back into the family unit. People need to respect each other.
They do need to respect each other more, and I'm finding that with marriage now, with my marriage is like a lot of it's respect, a lot of it's understanding, and a lot of it's patience.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men don't have patience, and I think a lot of wives have high expectations. And
I was thinking about a particular aspect of my marriage earlier today, actually, and I was thinking about a compliment that my wife had given me, and I realized after thinking about it for a while that was the only time she ever gave me a compliment. I was always trying to please her because she was a narcissistic, crazy bitch, but I was constantly trying to please her, and I realized just today it was like that's the only compliment she ever gave me.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like,
Which is probably why I remember it.
yeah, that's why you remember, because compliments go so far for men.
Yeah.
If you really want a man to do a lot of house chores, compliment on how good the yard looks, or compliment on how this looks, or as he's doing it, compliment him and bring him something cool to drink, or something like that, I guarantee you he will do more for you than you ever believe, because he'll work harder for you.
Yeah.
And men, you know, when your woman lashes out at you or doesn't give you compliments, be patient. Try to understand from them, because they have to understand the realistic goals in life and stuff like that. Like
Unless you're just in a toxic relationship, then just
yeah, my wife, you know, she is awesome. She does get that way. She does, you know, have issues.
your wife is very headstrong.
She is very headstrong. I like headstrong women. You know, I'm the glutton for punishment.
I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm just saying that's her personality type.
Oh yeah.
She's a very headstrong woman. She knows what she wants. She knows how she's going to get it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, like with her,
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
she doesn't, but you know,